Ever wonder why life keeps pushing the same buttons and playing the same patterns over and over? In today's episode, we unpack archetypes, the patterns that shape how we relate. It can be about parenting, other relationships. You'll learn a simple map of archetypes. We're going to look at some comparisons that need balance, like the innocent and the orphan, the warrior, the caregiver, creator, destroyer, magician, ruler, jester, sage, such things. And we're going to look at why they show up as light and shadow and how that knowledge can help you move from reactive survival into choice and purpose. And as usual, this topic has been chosen because it was one of the key things that really, really helped me. And you'll see that in the next episode because we are comparing and contrasting me from 2020 to 2024. I'm Andrea. I am your host on this Superpowered Revolution Project podcast, which is called Fight for Your Life. It's a series that is designed to help people stop fighting for their lives. So if you want practical, non-fluffy tools to spot old patterns and begin shifting them, you are in the right place. Before we start, though, please like, follow, subscribe so these conversations find the people who need them, and share with friends, share on your Facebook pages, such things, because people that you know might need it as well. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Make sure you leave questions and comments below, and I will see you at the end for some recapping and some actionable steps.
There are plenty of other ways to think about and work with archetypes. And the way that I've chosen to do it fits into the psychology picture, right? So for me, well, you know the format that I use, Carol S. Pearson's Archetypes. And it's a great picture because I work in psychology. I'm a counselor, but the field of psychology. And I teach things. So if I'm teaching counseling theories, I'm teaching about, well, nobody really focuses on Freud's psychosexual stages of development anymore, but they do certainly focus on Erik Erikson's psychosocial stages of development. And Erik Erikson was a fairly enlightened man, considering he never did a training in psychology and became the world's leading child psychologist. You look surprised about that.
So he's not actually a psychologist?
No, he didn't ever do a training. So the way that he found his feet is his only training was in music, and Anna Freud asked him to keep the children in her waiting room entertained with music. And she so admired the way he worked with children, she asked him to join the practice, and for years tried to encourage him to get formal qualifications, which he never did. So that's a great story in itself. But the point about archetypes is, Eric, so some of these figures in psychology, you know, they are amazing humans, but the field of psychology itself, in my view, is very, what's the word for it? Well, it's pathologizing.
Can I just ask you what you said? Did you just use the word villains?
No.
Can you recap? You said these people were amazing in their fields?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I just didn't. And I'm sorry I cut you off, but it sounded like villains. So I thought I'd better clarify for the listeners.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's too soon to rewind that. But so an example, you know, our topic is archetypes, and a prime example of that, and any listener will be able to relate to this. Erik Erikson, the great child development psychologist, talks about our primary disposition in the first stage of life, and now with neuroscience, we know it starts in the embryo, because the developing nervous system is so attuned to the nervous system in the environment of the mother and the mother's, which is affected by the mother's surroundings, of course, is trust and mistrust, Erik Erikson calls it. So the first disposition, I will either be a trusting person or a mistrusting person. And that will become, you know, we have talked about attachment theory before, how I cope with those first years of life, either as a mistrusting person, which is the orphan archetype, which simply means I become discerning, critical thinking, independent, as opposed to the innocent, which makes me connect and love and be surrounded with people. But the extreme of that is that I'm naive, gullible. I see the world through rose-tinted glasses. Yeah. And so I will find my way with those two different forces over time. That would be the task in the first stage of my life, is to balance those two archetypes, to wake up to them, and to balance their energies inside myself.
So you say that's the first task in life. I feel like in real life that doesn't happen till people are grown-ups.
No, I know. But those are the energies that the archetypes, if you will, that present themselves to us. But you're right. It's not until we're conscious, till we have our sort of mature faculties about us, that we can set out to change those things. But if you think about, so what encourages, sorry, I have dogs whining in the background.
No,
I
it's
don't know
okay.
if
I've
you
got one
can
too.
hear
He'll
this.
probably come visit us at some point.
What triggers us to look at ourselves and then at least have the option of doing things differently is, so the innocent, the sweet one who's been looked after so well by other people, might have a bully of a sibling, or their new friendship group might, be a little scratchy at times, or a teacher might tell them off. And the pure innocent part of us is devastated by that. So with a bit of time, we toughen up, we get resilient, and that's the dawning of the orphan energy. So that happens. Not many people get to adulthood, with that sort of sweet innocence of a young child. And if they do, they're not very quick to be in relationship or to be in the throes of the corporate world, or whatever they might choose as a vocation. And the other, the orphan, the child who's not wanted, not loved, when, is abused, neglected, and so on. The message they get is they're going to have to look after themselves. I think you and I both fit into that category from the conversations that we've had. It's not until probably a little bit later, when people start fantasizing about being in relationship with others. So adolescence, we look at others and you think, how do they do that? How do people just kind of love like that, right? And so the message we get very clearly then is, well, we may not get it very clearly, but over time it'll become clear that, oh, I've got big walls up around me. People might be telling you that, but you won't know until you're ready. And I'm going to have to let those walls down, which makes us very vulnerable, which is what we're avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary as hell.
Yeah, it is. But the comfort is normalizing that, because a great number of people are in the same category. And the orphan part of us makes us strong. That's a part of the package. Also impermeable, which is the downside of being too strong, right? Nobody can get through to us.
I remember feeling like that when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're not like the innocent, for example. They're going to get hurt much easier than us, because we've been practicing since birth to be tough. Yeah. But it's also probably more entrenched. The orphan probably gets more entrenched.
Can't imagine being like that.
Like the innocent.
Yeah. Like, I never looked at the world through rose-colored glasses growing up. I've always been watching my back and everyone else's.
Yeah.
Whereas now, my housemate, he said I was funny the other day. I remember we had the conversation last time about this, and my Jester had gone up, and
Fancy that.
like, huh?
Fancy that.
Well, I actually was reflecting on it yesterday before our chat. Like when we first met and you were doing career development, I remember we had some good banter, and I
Yeah.
feel like back then I was less broken. It's like something like I know what happened, but like I had a bad relationship, and so and business took its toll on me, and everything just got really
Right.
serious. And there may be phases of life things there too, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, what am I trying to say? Whereas now, I was thinking about it last night. I don't know if this is the right sentence because I'm really tired. I am so much less scared. Whereas, like 6 to 9 months to a year ago, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I couldn't look at it.
Yeah.
And I think
It,
so much has happened, and I trust myself more, and I trust whatever the heck is out there more.
right.
And I'm like,
So there's a few things in there, the trust, as you're saying, I think is the innocent, right? Because the innocent is
that's
the
what I was trying to
trusting
say.
part of us.
There's more rose now.
Yes.
Rose tint. I'm like, oh, it might be okay.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, no, what if it's not? Let's mitigate
Yeah.
just for that, only that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you also talk about, and I used to use this for an example when I was explaining the archetypes to people, and I was saying, you know, um, if something happens to you where you need to take action when, when something unjust happens or so on, and say you need to go to court, your warrior is really going to catch fire. So that's what you just described, right? Your warrior's on fire right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to win is the expression you use, and that's the catchphrase for the warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to win.
There's no not winning.
Yeah,
Like, if you were to talk to my mum, I mean, I didn't have the best childhood, and she was wrong a lot, so that didn't help. And even a few years ago, she tried to bring it up. Like, you used to always argue. I'm like, yeah, you used to be wrong a lot. Like,
right.
no, you're not going to win. But like, I'm not going to go into a fight unless I'm going to win, firstly.
Yeah, right.
I'll research the crap out of it. And if there's injustice,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it to be, oh, like I'm a good person, but like I often will go, if that's happened to me, it's happened to someone else.
sure, you bet.
And I have the nous to put together the case and help
Right.
other people
Yeah,
do the same. And that
yeah,
excites me.
yeah,
And I think people should be held accountable. I don't think they should just get away with treating people like shit. I've had enough of it.
yeah,
Like, I've had so much of it in my life.
yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, you're fucking with the wrong person, guys.
I assume you've watched the movie Aaron Brockovich,
Oh,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
that's
You wrote,
an Aaron Brockovich story.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting because, I mean, I've got this one. Like, anyway, do you have a bit of a list of what you wanted to chat through? Because I've got my thing ready to go. But like going back to archetypes, there's the archetypes themselves, the characters, and then there's the stories that are also archetypal,
yeah,
like the hero's journey.
yeah.
And I'm guessing there's like a warrior one.
Well, so when you say
You
that,
don't have to go into that. You can just talk.
no, that's good.
You should have
But
done an agenda.
but I think you know, the books and movies that capture the imagination of the masses of people are always archetypal stories, right? So if you think of something like Star Wars
Yeah.
or The Lord of the Rings, those sorts of things, they're full of archetypes.
Yeah.
You think of someone like Strider, who he's a legitimate king, right? But he's avoiding that early on, and I don't know how I would describe him early on, but he becomes a warrior. He makes a decision that he needs to fight, and then in the end, he takes his rightful place as the king as well, and a lover. Actually, there's a few archetypes tied up with him, but I think he's one of the well, probably the central character, other than the hobbits. Well, no, they're all over the place there, aren't they? Gandalf is the magician who can transform things.
It's such a craft.
Yes, it is. But George Lucas, who wrote the Star Wars, at least the first X number of movies, he was a, I don't know what the word is. I don't like the word disciple, but Joseph Campbell was
Yeah.
his mentor. And when you talk about the hero's journey, we're talking about what Joseph Campbell sort of reintroduced
When I
to the.
bought this book, I thought it was Joseph Campbell's because I just bought it, but it wasn't. But I think this guy learned from Joseph Campbell as well. I'm just seeing if who wrote the introduction. It's called it's always dumb. When we show books on here, it's the dumbest thing. I've seen it played back, but I'm doing it anyway.
Right.
I'll reference it in the show notes, guys.
Stop moving it.
Yeah,
What's it
okay.
called?
So I was
Oh, the
the
writer's
writers,
journey.
but what it is, so it's mythic structure for writers,
Right.
and it's got various archetypal structures.
Oh, okay.
So like the section 1 of the book is called Mapping the Journey, and it's got the archetypes, the hero, the mentor, threshold guardians, shapeshifters, shadows, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And then there's stages of this is very hero's journey, I think. So they're in the ordinary world, there's a call to adventure, there's the refusal of the call, which is what you just mentioned about
Yeah.
Strider.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a king. Meeting with the mentor, that happened. I love
Yeah.
that. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Coming to the first threshold, tests, approach to the inmost cave, the ordeal, the reward, the road back, resurrection, return with the elixir. And if you look at Star Wars and there's a whole bunch of other movies that literally use the same structure.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make sure that because those structures already exist in us, and that's the thing about archetypes, right? They already live in us, and we can capitalize on that or not. But you, for example, you're fired up right now, and your warrior is going, right? And if you were to, God bless you, have a child, your caregiver would arise again, right?
Yeah.
You would be first and foremost a mother, and all those structures and instincts would come back to you and ga ga ga. I was going to say la la la, but
With the
do
baby, it's
do.
ga, ga, ga. Well, that's what happened when I was a stepmom. I got a little 1-year-old,
Right.
and then me and her were just like that. We were at the hip.
Yeah. And so back to, you know, so what I wanted to do was not to go down new rabbit holes, but make more of a general introduction to archetypes. And I think what's important to understand, at least in the Carol Pearson framework, is the developmental nature of archetypes.
Yeah.
And so we've already talked about the innocent and the orphan. And the next pair, which again I think we can all relate to, are the warrior and the caregiver, and that's the emergence of our masculine and feminine natures, right? As little children, we don't really distinguish between boys and girls unless someone drums it into us.
Mm.
But there's a certain point at which one or the other of those archetypal energies will prevail, the feminine or the masculine. And the funny you should say about, the conversation we just had about balancing the innocent and the orphan, because I think society used to create structures where we had to be one or the other of the warrior or the caregiver, and it was based on gender, of course. And we're much freer now, and what women's liberation asked for, starting in the 1970s, wasn't to be men. It was to balance their innate nature, right? And some of the critiques of feminism were precisely that, women giving up their feminine nature and taking on the masculine. Whereas the ideal, of course, is the balance of both of those. Actually, the ideal is to be able to choose what to use at any particular time. But men, so again, I shouldn't genderize, but in someone whose masculine forces predominate, their structure is more rigid than the feminine structure, because the feminine structure is fluid, malleable, soft by nature, and the masculine structure is structured and rigid and, warrior-like and much slower to change. And it's only now that men are getting what it means to be whole, right? It doesn't mean you're a pansy or whatever word they might use, right? To balance our masculine and feminine natures. I think it's very exciting. And I've met lots of men who either lead men's groups or are very interested in the men's movement. And they're always soft men, even if they want to do sort of warrior things or whatever sort of things, they've got a real softness about their nature. They understand what they're doing.
Some of them are funny. Like I followed, I saw you were friends with some guy called Dan Bogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a stalker, and so it comes up, but not really. It just comes up as a friend suggestion.
Yeah.
And I was like, so before I add a friend, I'll go look around at what they do. And then I was like, well, you are friends with him, so he must be okay. That's the way I judge things. Well, Gary's friends with him, so he must be okay.
Yeah. He's
And then
more than okay.
I changed the subject again. But yeah, he's a great example of someone who's worked through a transformation from what I can tell.
Absolutely, he has. And he's transformative in the work he does. Yeah. So yes, he's somebody. He's somebody. I'll just leave it at that. He is somebody.
Might interview him one day.
But he's not. It's interesting though, because this sort of picture that we might get of, what does a bogan look like? That wasn't his given name, right?
I know.
That's how he was raised, though.
He says he walks the world. He walks between the worlds of bogan and something else. The spiritual world and bogan world or something.
Yeah. And but he also captures it, right? His look is that bogan look. And it's easy for people to look at him and feel scared, right? But I was just in a situation where I said yes to what he was doing, and then I had to go through with that. Well, I was mentoring a men's weekend, and he was running a section of that. And it was pretty transformative stuff.
Something to hear.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes.
Back to you.
What?
I said back to you. Do you want me to put the picture up at all? I've got my thing up. If you want to refer to them.
Not really. So you can edit some of that in next time if you like. Yeah. And I'll just stay on a roll while we're on a roll. Those masculine and feminine things also, as you said, with the trust and mistrust of the innocent and orphan, the masculine and feminine of the caregiver and warrior, sometimes they also take years, if not decades, to sort out. And that's because they're so culturally driven. So our microcosm, or our microenvironment, which is our family home, is probably also often guilty of thinking that boys should be like this and girls should be like that. Even if it's not conscious, it's so culturally embedded.
I feel as a mother who's coming out of that caregiver role, like well out of it, really. Johnny's just moved into his own home, and like there's changes and shifts, and I've had some realizations, and him and I have had some hard conversations and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like as a woman, I've spent a lot of time in caregiver and protecting him.
Right.
He actually felt the same. I won't share our story right now without talking to him first, but we had a very big conversation, and I have sort of gone, for my part, I can't do what I was doing anymore.
Yeah.
It's time for me now.
Yeah.
And it's time for me to use my voice and heal properly rather than being suppressed out of a protection and other thing. I'm like, you're 28, man. Like, we can deal with this. We can have conversations and all that sort of thing. But like, I feel like I don't know if that rings true from what you're saying. Like, you're the caregiver warrior. It takes years to balance out. And I feel like it has been hard to be a single mum to a young man.
Yeah. So that's interesting in light of your warrior being activated at the moment, and that's because that's the other side of that, right? So
Mm.
all of a sudden, you've pulled out your sword, and your warrior is well and truly alive at the same time as you recognize your caregiver needs to wane. So that's a really good picture of that. Yeah, we're in a very similar. Our youngest is also a male human, and he's 29 and lives at home. He hasn't always lived at home, but he came back because he got a sports injury. And yeah, but we're at an age where just having him living with us, even though he's capable, full-time employed, and so on and so on, keeps us too much in that role, that I'm still thinking of keeping the larder full and preparing meals and so on and so
Yeah.
on, which is a caregiver role, and I'm a male human anyway, right? No, my partner and I, we are more probably, yeah. Anyway, we're complementary, let's say.
Mm.
Um, so from there, when we hit our 20s, that's when the seeker and lover emerge. So that's when the aim of those is to experience, to develop the self, the vessel that's going to carry our purpose into the world for the rest of our lives, the personality, not the self with a capital S. Um, and the seeker does that through stepping out into the world to see how all the different possibilities, how to live, trying on different jobs and different cultures and just different ways of being. So that's the external part. And the lover, so these are not different. We have them both in us, right? But we can choose one or the other path at any particular time. The lover seeks that ex higher experience of the self, heightened, I should say, a heightened experience of self by uniting with his or her passions, which is usually in a love romantic sense. And the real gift of the lover is it keeps us very present, living in our hearts. And the gift of the seeker is the autonomy that arises with the seeker. The downside of both of those, the seeker can get too caught up in externals, and the lover can lose their sense of self by being too enmeshed with others, usually, or their passions.
Mm. Do you think that downside would be more relevant to somebody who has trauma issues? Like if someone has not had so much trauma, they might go through these transitions, pair 1, pair 2, pair 3, so on, perhaps more cleanly than
Definitely.
someone who has, yeah.
Definitely. No, we don't even have to talk about trauma. We can talk about attachment issues. If they're securely attached, um, that means that they grew up feeling supported by the world around them, not in the extreme of the innocent sense, um, but yeah. So those life stages will then, in theory at least, flow easier. Yeah. But I don't want to pathologize those either, because we probably both know that the gifts we bring into the world are through the stuff we've wrestled with, right?
Um,
I hammered this
so I
TV.
get what you're saying. So, and not gifts, yeah. And you know what? Like for a long time, I remember you saying that to me in a workshop once, and that's probably the first time it actually started to hit me that yeah, I can see it as a gift.
Right.
But it also, it's one of those crying moments again.
Yes.
I remember someone saying something similar to me many years before, and I wanted to punch them in the face.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then
There's a time for saying that,
yeah,
because when someone's still full of their struggles, that can be sort of dismissive or trite or whatever it might be. Miss the
yeah.
mark anyway.
And I feel like it's made me very tender in how I approach that with other people.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like crying. Oh my God, all the feelings.
Yeah.
I think from that workshop, I went through a journey of sort of superficially getting it and
Right.
going, yeah, it's a gift. I've got a gift, but then I felt like I had responsibility, and then I felt
Right.
resentful,
Right.
and then I felt like I had no idea who I was.
Right.
Like, well, what if it didn't happen?
Right.
Who would I be if it didn't happen? And then I'm like, but it did happen,
Yeah.
and then, there was this whole process of working through that.
So the difference from my intention in saying things like that is always to instill hope.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't say it to somebody who wasn't interested in their development. And that's what
Mm.
makes all the difference, right?
Yeah. It
Because
helped me a lot, for
yeah,
sure. It was
because
like the start of something.
that other person who's not interested in their development will be a victim
Mm.
for all of their days until they turn their attention to what they can do, what they are capable of. Yeah.
You're up to
Yeah.
care.
And it's very interesting. I just need to talk to my colleagues in the field of psychology or counseling or whatever, or even at the moment, all of my teaching is in a master's program, Masters of Counseling. So I get to have these wonderful conversations with students as well. And people who get there, who get to a place of saying, I want to do a Masters of Counseling, they know what they're doing, right? They've been through their stuff.
Mm.
And so I'm now talking about post-traumatic growth, really.
Yeah.
Again, not everybody goes through trauma, but even if it's not traumatic, the greater the trauma that we transform, I think the more potent is our transformation. But even learning about my um, dysfunctional early environment that has made me this or made me that or whatever it is, when I start to see, oh, I behave like this because of that, and take the next step of taking responsibility for that, also the post adaptive growth that comes from that is also post growth. So it doesn't have to be full blown trauma, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna write that word down. Yeah. Post-adaptive growth. That's interesting. I hope this
Yeah,
isn't going on too long for you, because it's good to have a conversation for people to, like, if I have a weird question I don't understand, it's good to
yeah,
talk a
yeah,
lot. I am medicated, at least. That's not bad.
yeah.
I joke about my.
Um,
Okay, part 4. Careful.
the fourth pair is where you're at the moment, the things you're describing, the creator and destroyer. So midlife, so 40-ish, we make that turn. We have all these energies in us, right? They're always there. The creator might have always served you well. You might have always had ideas about la la la. I think that's probably true of you. However, if the time comes where uh, the biological, I don't know if that's the word, but the archetypal developmental time comes and you don't unfold that, then you feel the loss of it, the lack
Say
of
that
it.
again. So if the
Yeah.
archetypal time comes, no, you say it again.
So if the time comes in your archetypal development and it fails to activate, then you feel the lack of it.
Yeah, I get it.
So that would be the midlife crisis, right?
Mm.
If your creator wasn't allowed to fire by midlife, the question becomes, well, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is
She's
this
on
it?
fire. She's
Is
on
this
fire.
all there is, right? And so, well, I'll just have another bottle of wine tonight. Thank you very much.
Well, and that's what was happening.
Yeah, or nicer holidays, or depending on your means, I suppose, and how
Mm.
creative you might be.
Well,
And go on.
so for me, my creator is so strong.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. That's
So so
so
then
like, Yeah.
then we have to look at the other side of that, and what is the destroyer's role? So people get scared of a title like the destroyer, right? But the destroyer works in the service of the creator. And as I said before, it helps us to recognize the limitations that we have put in place or the baggage we have, whether it's structures or ideas or just too much stuff, right? Or maybe a commitment to work that doesn't serve us anymore, whatever that might be. So the destroyer's job is to recognize what's not working and to let it go, because that energy needs to go into the service of the creator to make space for the new things to unfold, because your destiny, it comes through the creator.
Oh, writing that down. That's
Yeah.
been my last year. I just
Yeah.
burned everything up. Everything.
That's good.
I ended up with hardly any stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No business, no house,
Yeah.
and then landed perfectly
Yeah.
with support from whatever is out there.
Elegant simplicity is the sort of, really a really good motto ongoingly from Midlife. Carl Jung says that the whole second half of life should be devoted to the inner world. That we need to establish ourselves in the world first, wrestle with the things of the world. So external for the first half of the life, and then internal for the second half.
Hmm.
Yeah, so enjoy that ride, accept the work of the destroyer. That's probably even why you're analyzing your caregiver with Johnny, right? Because it's a thing you carry that doesn't serve you going into the future now.
It's actually goddamn feelings. Really hard. Like I won't go into it at all, but it's like I'm in a moment of needing to choose me above him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. So the caregiver would choose him first, right? The caregiver, we can get lost with the caregiver because we put other people's needs before our own. And if the caregiver is really strong, we project onto the warrior selfishness, right? That's all we can see in the warrior. Yeah, you just bloody well want to go get your own stuff, because we forget in the archetypal scheme of things, the warrior is always in the service of the king. And so I like to picture the king as our integrated self, and the warrior is serving our whole self. And that's what you're going through right now. The warrior is enabling you to step up.
It's like the only way for me to fulfill my purpose. And I believe that. Like, there's some people talking about like putting purpose can be pressure for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, I actually feel like I've seen really clearly what I need to do.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is to do it.
Yeah. So, and I would say that when people see it as heavy, or whatever word you use, pressure, that's externally driven then. I think if it's internally driven, like you're talking about, it's the creator at work, and it's life-giving. It's energizing. Yeah. It's exciting.
I can't bear not to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's right.
I'm really, really energized by it. Yeah.
That's
and willing to turn away other stuff. Like, that's why it's such a relief to have someone living with me for a few months to take a bit of pressure off financially.
Yeah.
So that I can actually sink into this part of myself.
Yeah. So can I point out that you and I have had, you've done profiles, updated profiles, and you're ready to hear this now. So you're sitting there, moved to tears because you're ready to hear this now. So since we've done our work in the past, you've turned this corner towards the creator destroyer energy. So that's very exciting. I just did, as I told you earlier, I've just, dismantled my website. And just before I did that, I got an email from a young man saying, booking an archetype profile. So that's when I get them to do the archetype,
the PMAI.
The PMAI. and then I write them a report, give them some information, and then we have an interview to debrief that. Well, just before the time lapsed for my interview for my website, I got this email from him. So he wanted a profile. So I said, well, I thought to myself, well, you got him just in time. So there's obviously a reason for that. And then within a day, he sent me another one. He said, and can I have one for my girlfriend? Can my girlfriend get one too? And so I just debriefed with her the other day, 2 days ago here. And the things that it's a different lens. She's a therapist, right? So she gets this pretty easily, but I think everybody gets it pretty easily when they've got their numbers to look at, from having done the PMAI themselves. And for her, it just took her to a different level of understanding herself and where she's at. She's at a different stage from you. But she sees exactly where she's at. So, again, that's why I learned this 25 years ago when I did my own, when I did my master's in counseling. This was that profile was a part of our studies. It was a fairly enlightened tertiary
I'm
course.
definitely going to get the book and have a read of it.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with archetypes in different capacities.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said, there's lots, everything's an archetype really in pure Jungian talk.
Well, it's interesting because in my routine making with these women, because I'm making dance routines with them, I haven't made any for a while, and then I had to sort of get back into my creative process, and then I was like, oh yeah, I use archetypes to help me with this.
Right.
And so I listen to the song, and then I go through this Carolyn Miss deck.
Mace, I think people say.
Mace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's Dutch. It's what?
I pull out the cards that relate to the song for me.
Oh.
And then there's the little book that explains it. And then I've got my other books that I can go a bit deeper and look at the light and the shadow. And then it gives me a story. I can see the story, and then I can see the moves, and I can see the routine. And it's like blank canvas until I actually go through that process and give the characters body and light and shadow and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I go through that with the students and say, oh, this is what I've come up with. What do you see? They were so amazed, like, oh, wow. Right. But then another lady, she's actually studied performing arts at uni. And she was like, oh, which archetype theory did you use? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I showed her, she's like, well, was it this one or this one? And I'm like, that's a whole other world that neither of us probably know about.
Right.
Like, so in drama school, they don't use her, they don't use that, and they don't do what you do. So these other authors have written it for dance and creativity in a totally different way.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, and they're just everywhere. Anyway, did you want to talk about pair 5? How many more have we got?
Well, the next two are the just briefly, the magician and ruler. And so now these last two pairs, or the last 4 of the 12 archetypes, that's the return journey now. So again, when we think of the hero's journey, there's the preparation, the journey stage, and then the return. So the same with these developmental stages. We're talking about the return journey now. And the difference that makes is that in assimilating these energies into ourselves, there's a benefit for the world around us in doing this. So the magician and the ruler, they both want to bring order to the world. The ruler does it through the practicalities, so creating structure. So the ruler is the king, right? I'll take responsibility for the kingdom. Thank you very much. I'll make sure everybody's okay. If things are going wrong, I'll step in and sort it out, and so on. The magician, it's more an inner path. And the magician can stand back and watch things unfold and say, that person's got shit to learn over there, right? And so you can see the sort of different positions they take. And the idea, of course, is that we can do both of those. We can be sensitive to when not to intervene, but we can also be strong enough, responsible enough, organized, capable enough to step in and sort things out, because we're elder citizens now,
Hmm.
right?
Is there another pair after these ones?
Yeah.
Yep. On these quickly, it's interesting because like I kind of listening to like in this conversation, it sort of sounds like there's a theme going through life. And so is this more where you're at? Pair 5? Pair 6?
Well, age-wise, yes. I'm certainly at that late stage in life. The magician's always been strong in me. And so I'm much more capable than I was willing to once be in terms of taking responsibility, just because I didn't want to set myself up to be a target for anybody.
Yeah, I think
yeah. So yeah, the magician's always been strong. The next stage is the jester and the sage. And that's the stage when we're thinking about or committed to what's the most important thing about a life. And the jester would say the most important thing about life is to enjoy it. And the sage would say the most important thing about life is truth.
I just wrote them on the wrong ones. I just need to make notes when I talk, even though it's probably bad behavior for a podcast. I was just thinking, I do have a question after this about the whole lot, because they obviously are all through the lifespan too.
Yes, go on. Sorry.
Oh, well, like, because I remember when we analysed my results last time, which I'll slip in a bit about after, I think my magician and ruler had changed balance quite a bit. But my jester and sage definitely had. Like, it was like my jester was way down and my sage was way up, and you were saying that made me really serious.
Yeah.
And then in the 2024 one, my jester had come up, and you were like, how'd you do that? And I became more me, was how I explained it.
Right.
But like what I'm saying is it sounds like each stage is stronger in a theme of life, like a period of life.
Yeah.
But they all exist simultaneously anyway.
Both of those things are true. And back to that's what I mean by developmental, right? They unfold, we assimilate them, move on to the next one, assimilate those energies, move on to the next one, etc., right through life. But all of those energies are innate. So what I said before about when you're older, for example, if you lack what's necessary for your development at this time. So again, back to you, the creator destroyer energies. If you weren't plowing into them at the moment, you would feel the lack of purpose, really. You would say, what's life about? Because that's what the creator and destroyer do. They recognize a part of their mindset, even though it remains quite unconscious, is that life is continually a process of becoming and letting go and becoming and letting go. And they do that in tandem, those two. But that's really a midlife realization, right? That we need to understand that about life. So Andrea, I know that you're writing these things down, and I know that can be helpful, but you have also the document where if you just read that again, all of this might, like, the document,
the transcript.
That it's called a general information doc that I send out along with the profile. You'll have that, and I'm kind of all over the show when I'm talking like this, but that's a very organized and structured way of explaining.
Is that something that's shareable?
I do share that. Everyone who does a profile, I send them out that as well. Yeah. I wrote that myself. I do also, I credit Carol Pearson with the work that she's done there. And I recommend her book. But I summarized that. I've been doing this for many years, so I kind of feel like I need to use my own language now. Yeah.
Put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
Probably another question I have, I don't know, this is probably more me reflection. I don't even know. Because I had Johnny so young,
Yeah.
I feel like I know that I'm still like the same age, but I feel like my journey has happened earlier.
Right.
Like, I don't just if that makes sense or if that's just me being up in my ego, I'm more advanced than everybody else. No. But like my caregiver, like I started young. I was 17 years old, you know.
Right.
And so I feel like when you talk about midlife and even the next stage, so the creator and destroyer is strong now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've been strongly learning some of those later life lessons
Right.
because my sons are like, you have a 29-year-old, did you say?
Yeah.
I have a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
And we're quite different in age.
Yeah. Like 20,
How old are
what,
you?
68.
I'm 45.
There you go.
Yeah, so like 23 years different. We've got kids the same age.
Yeah. I did start late and you started early.
So
Yeah.
there you go. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you want to, so I have supervision to get to, but is there any sort of way that you would like to pull it together or like me to pull it together, or do you want to round up?
So wrapping up, this is probably feels like a bit of a deeper explanation to some of the other videos that we've made about archetypes. We made one that examined my results.
Yeah, we did.
And this, I feel, extrapolates what that means for everybody else.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this, because I saw that video and I thought people don't have the foundation really to understand that. That's why I want to do more of a background like this. Yeah.
What do you think should come first, the chicken or the egg? No, this video or the other video?
I think this one should come first.
Yeah, well, like a little, by the time all these have been made, like there's a few, it'll be like a little 3-lesson thing
Right. Yeah.
on archetypes.
So, you could just, like, if you had a reliable friend who knows nothing but is interested, you could send them out, do your 3 distinct whatevers on archetypes, say, or, 3 shorter videos with archetypes in them, put them in the order you think is wise, and send it out and say, does this make sense? Or is it confusing in this order, or something like that?
I might, or I might not. You know what I gave up to the full moon?
No.
Asking advice.
Oh, okay. Well, then you do what you like.
I'm gonna listen to my insides because my insides know stuff.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, but I might, but I might not.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is letting go of perfectionism.
Yes.
Like this is a learning journey, and what's happened is we've made all these videos and none of them are out there.
Yeah.
Because
it's the double thinking, or
is it good enough?
Yeah.
Is it good enough? Is the intro good enough? Will it be attractive? Will people click on it? Does it make sense? And like it has to make sense, and there has to be, and I don't even care. This bit could end up in the video because this is the journey of making something that people like. And then if people watch, they'll be like, actually, yeah, we thought this was helpful. We thought that was helpful. Like it's a collective, someone called it the IKEA effect, where people help you build the thing. So like we can do this and then people can ask questions and we'll figure out the next steps.
I think that's a really good, we talked about that really early on, people asking questions and responding to that. That's a really good approach to take, I think, because then you're being, well, it's not that either of us think we're being irrelevant, but you're being specific about something that has a reason from.
And I think it's interesting, like with archetypes, I'll shut up because I need to go in a sec. And you were saying that they're not taught in universities anymore.
Jungian stuff's not taught anymore.
Yeah. I just think there's so much benefit to them.
Yes.
And I'll be making a separate video as part of this little series explaining these books, because these are the ones that helped me. to begin with, which is very different to your work. It's KT Alpham's Who Am I and Who Are They, which is case
Uh-huh.
studies. It's
Right.
very interesting.
Yeah.
And so in these, she's got these little one and a half pages on what the light looks like and what the shadow looks like.
Right.
And for me, that was the pathway going. It gave me the language and the permission and the information to go, I'm in the shadow,
Right.
you know, but there was hope because it's almost like it's not a map as such, but you can see that the light's right there. It's just another
Right.
path.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I don't have to stay there. I can go here.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of what that looked like. And I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah.
So that'll be my next video on this. So thank you. Thank you for coming, everybody. Wait, that's not weird. Let me try again. I'm going to cut that out.
Oh, that was good.
I don't know what to say. I'm so tired.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Doing a quick recap. Today we looked at archetypes as a practical map for understanding the patterns that run us, from the innocent and the orphan, which are two sides of the same coin, I guess, which is about early trust and mistrust, through to other archetypes like the creator, destroyer, and you'll see more about that in the next one. We explained archetypes as energies with both a light and a shadow, and Kia's noticing them, not judging. So I'm going to give you a couple of actionable things that you can start to practice this with. This is a really step one because today's episode was an introduction. And in episode 9, I'm going to be diving into my own journey through archetypes, and you will start to see how these can be applied more and how you might explore them more deeply. So you can do self-observing. You could set a timer and do it for 5 minutes. I can almost guarantee that your mind will quiet down if you do that. What we need to get really good at is noticing when we're up in our head or when we're being reactive and we're not coming from that place of integrity and true self that we would really like to come from. So like if you're over planning, if you're imagining a conversation from 5 different angles, you can notice that and you can just say, I notice I'm doing that over planning thing, that over imaginary conversation thing. So just name it. I'm overthinking. I'm being really self-protective. I'm worrying. I'm planning. So that's it. That's it. Notice that you're doing that. The other thing that you could do is you could play Spot the Archetype. Spot the Archetype. Pick one pair. For example, the innocent versus the orphan, or the creator versus the destroyer. You could write down a recent moment where that archetype showed up. And what did its light look like, or what did its shadow look like, or how do both look like within you, if you can recognize that in yourself. And you could also do, as a last activity, a small action for balance. So when you notice yourself doing something shadowy, you could try to do the opposite. So if you're being really dark, really serious, you could watch some comedy. You could notice your overprotective caregiver and take a couple of breaths and step back, so that someone else can make a choice perhaps. So if this episode landed for you, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps people who need this work to find it. In the next episode, I'll be sharing my personal archetype story and what shifted between 2020 and 2024. And I touch on some of the practices that actually move the needle. And you'll see that I had quite a drastic, maybe that's the word, change. And Garry actually did the original 2020 with me and then the 2024, and he's live comparing them, which is super fun. I'm just going to touch on one last thing before you go. You might notice that I'm quite different from the videos that you've been watching. It's 2025. It is the end of 2025. And between the years 2022 to 2024, I was quite sick. And 2025 has been a year of recovery. And sometimes when I when I go through these videos and edit them and things like that, sometimes I feel a little bit embarrassed, like I shouldn't have shared them, or, you know, some days I'm triggered. I was really sick at the start of them. I actually had a kidney infection for 3 years, but I actually made the choice to leave them up because me doing these intros and outros later when I'm well actually shows you, oh, wow, she was really struggling and she was sick. And it's the personal work that I've done daily. It's the habit building. And I've been a fitness instructor, personal trainer, coach of lots of kinds, and I've helped literally well over 1,000 people, probably close to 2,000 people in my career. I'm almost 50. and I know what to do. And what's really frustrating when I'm sick is I just really, really struggle. So 2025 has been a real nurturing, crawling my way back really gently and lying on the floor sometimes kind of year. So I hope that you take that as some sort of encouragement that if you're struggling, you too can be okay at some point soon and doing a lot better. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. And again, leave any comments or questions. Thank you. Bye.